Hey everybody, it is the HR team here with Edina Realty, and today we're going to talk about a big topic that we get all the time is buying and selling a home at the same time. One, can it be done? Yes. 30,000 foot view is one, it doesn't always have to deal with money. We talk in our show prep, we'll call it, sure. is we talked about there's going to be a cost to everything, whether that's time, money, inconvenience, or just well, those big three things. Mm-hmm. So one, let's talk a little bit about the logistics.
So logistically, I've been asked about this a couple times, even just in the past few months. And the first thing that people ask is, well, how does this work? Can we even make this happen? And yes, we can. What I tell people is there are plenty of transactions happen every day of a person that's selling their previous home and buying their new home within just a couple hours, if not like over the course of that same day. If the closings don't even take place in the same area, they can wire the money. If it's the same closing company, they literally will just have you sign the documents, and then you'll just throw those aside and you start on the new ones and you buy your next house, and they just do them back to back.
Kind of the neatest little thing about doing that back to back is when they slide that, you're done selling your home now, and they slide that equity check over to you. When the homeowners, they look and they're like, oh, I'm rich. And then they sign it back and they buy their new house. You know, they're homeless, but they've got this big equity check. Yep. And then, you know, that's always kind of a fun little chuckle at a closing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And that is one way to take care of it. And you just show up to closing. You've got your U-Haul parking lot that's completely full of everything that you own, and you pull in and you sign everything and you take off to your new house and you're done.
Grandma's strapped into the rocking chair on top.
Beverly Hillbillies.
So kind of the next part is I'm going to transition into asking you guys about when you work with a professional real estate team is the management of expectations of a seller and a buyer during a contingent sale or a back-to-back sale is one, we encounter it all the time where some agents, they just haven't properly given their client what actually happens during that. They've given them some false hope that they can move out whenever they want, they can keep the house a couple extra days after closing. That's almost 100% never the case, almost 100% never the case. But let's talk a little bit more about the emotional aspect of it.
So one question that I get all the time is, what do we do with our stuff? You know, do we put it all in a U-Haul? Can we keep it here until afterwards and then we move it, or can we move it in early? What's your guys' answer to that awfully common question?
I think it's going to be dependent on the situation. Is the house that they're going to vacant? Is it new construction? Is there a family of 18 people living there? Like, it's all going to be dependent. If there's a family living there, you're probably not getting your stuff in earlier. If it's vacant, yeah, there's a decent chance that you might be able to move everything in. And Jeremy can speak better on new construction. He's dealt with that more.
Well, the new construction, to answer your original question, is always have a plan. Talk to one of us. We're going to kind of walk you through that and explain the different options. So, you know, at the very beginning of the process, have a plan in place where you can't rely on bringing it to your next place. That's not an option. You don't know what that place is yet. Storage units, pods, trailers, friends, family. Maybe they have a trailer. Maybe you don't have any friends or family. So we got to start there where you're independent on yourself. We got to store your stuff, because when your buyers purchase your house, they want to take possession right away. And they don't want to have all your stuff in there at the same time. Now, as we're going through the process, maybe we find that house and we talk with the seller of that house. Maybe they'll allow you to bring stuff in the night before. Maybe they won't. With new construction, it's almost always been the case where no, you can't. So here you think, well, it's a brand new house. There's nobody living there. The garage is completely empty. Why can't we just drop stuff off there the night before? Your builder, the builder of that property still has all the liability. So anything happens, somebody breaks into it, steals your stuff, somebody gets hurt moving stuff in and out, they are liable for it. So pretty much every new construction home I've come across, I've asked the question because it's always worth asking, hey, can we do this the night before or the morning of before closing? And every single time it's been, we'd love to, but no. And there's usually we used to, and then this happened, and now we just say no to everybody. Yeah. So new construction, just, again, it's still worth asking, but assume the answer is going to be no. Get a storage unit, get a trailer, get a U-Haul, get a pod, something like that.
Yep. So now when we sit down with a new seller, they're set on selling. They don't know where they're going to move though. I usually ask them in a way of like, well, what if your house sold tomorrow? Well, we don't have a place to go. Okay, what if somebody gave you $10 million for your house tomorrow? We would find a place. So obviously that's an extreme when you're talking a $300,000 house, but what's your backup plan? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it putting a contingent offer in? And we'll explain that in a little bit. What is that backup plan? Because you have to have one. And it might not be your number one, because in a perfect world, you could just buy a house without having to sell. Mm-hmm. But the people who lend the money are the ones that are actually going to tell you if you can do that or not. So it's either buy before you sell. We'd probably all agree that's the path of least resistance. Is put your house on the market and hope that you can find one in time there. Go under contract as a seller, and then hope you can find a house to buy in the next 45-ish or so days. And then the next one is a contingent offer. Telling a seller, I want to buy your house, but I have to sell mine first. Today's market, that's a very, very weak offer. Mm-hmm. It's not worth nothing, but it's a very weak offer. You typically have to pay more for the house that you're going to and be more flexible on something. And at that end of the day, you still might lose it. So don't mentally move your stuff in there.
One thing that I didn't actually get to follow through with doing this, but it was presented to me. I had some clients, we were selling their house, and we didn't have, we hadn't found the house they were going to move into yet. And we were trying to figure out, okay, what do we do in the interim? And we started to look at new construction. We kind of knew the time frame of that, and so we started looking at, are there any rentals? Well, today's market rentals are probably harder to come by than new or houses being listed on the market. I mean,
it's pretty dang close, yeah.
And then because it's so competitive, if you come to a rental property and say, I only want to do it, month to month for maybe 3 months, your odds just dropped through the floor because they've got plenty of people that are wanting to do long-term leases. So again, networking with a good real estate team, we know other contacts. We were able to hook up with a family that they winter down south. They didn't want to list their house as a rental, but they also said, hey, we see an opportunity here where, yeah, we'd be fine if you guys moved in here, 3 months before we move back, keep things tidy. We were going to put together kind of the short-term agreement. It worked out for them. It worked out for my sellers. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have to do that, or fortunately, we didn't have to do that. But it was an option that we're, again, talking with your agent, getting creative, finding different opportunities to kind of bridge that transition.
Yep. Some of the other avenues that we have is there's investors out there that will actually buy your house from you and let you rent it back from them. Now, again, when I first talked about it's going to either cost some money, some timing, or inconvenience, that one might hit all three, but it's an option. And options are always a good thing when it comes to real estate. Having more options is a good thing, in my opinion, because we all know real estate is not a one-size-fits-all.
And things change in the 30 to 45 to 60 days from when you first had an offer accepted to closing.
And you can't algorithm your way to local knowledge.
One question, just really quick, that I've gotten a couple times, and I'm just curious, how would you guys answer it? Is, if I'm buying and selling at the same time, what happens if my sales side, goes through, but all of a sudden my buy side goes through and falls through, right? And now you're sitting there like, oh no, like, am I homeless? Like,
you've sold your house.
You've sold your house,
buy side.
but now
The house that they're purchasing goes through, but the people that were originally going to buy.
No. You sell your house, but all of a sudden the purchase of your new house falls through, and they're afraid they're going to be homeless. Does this situation happen often? It's a common question, but is it a common situation?
It is not a common situation. If that happens, there's usually a catastrophic event that happened. Somebody lost a job, somebody died. In that very specific situation, because we're talking usually an hour time frame from selling to buying, somebody died, usually. Now, not saying it will never happen or anything like that, but many times where it gets scary is an example, not from personal experience. Yes, this actually happened. It was, we sold, and all of a sudden, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, they weren't our clients. They were going through a nasty divorce, and they said, I'm not selling. One, my people are now homeless. They got that check. They're now homeless. 4 hours later, everything was signed, but it was a very stressful 4 hours. It was, some people get in the way, but yeah, it happens so rarely because it's such a short time frame. I don't think it should be really high up on the concerns. More would be like, let's pack all our stuff in the moving truck. So, but one, pair with a professional real estate team like us, HR team, and you can always go to workwithhrteam.com, get in contact with one of us, or go ahead and click the contact link. Happy to work with you. For the HR team at Edina Realty, I'm Tyler Reese.
I'm Jeremy Welter.
Eric.
And I'm Tom.
Who don't have last names.